Despite the Depression, baseball was still big in New York, where Babe Ruth still dominated the game and filled the headlines. He was the idol of every schoolboy, the delight of every sports writer, drinking and eating too much, cheerfully lighting up the half-smoked cigars he found on the men's room floor, doing his best to ignore the younger sluggers who were now overtaking him, including his seemingly invincible teammate, Lou Gehrig. Gehrig had become the best hitter in the American League, driving in runs at a faster clip than Ruth. But he still had to settle for second billing. The two men were growing increasingly distant, and now Gehrig became obsessed with setting a record no one could ever match. Since May of 1925, he had not missed a single game, and despite aches, sprains, and fevers, he determined never to take himself out of the lineup. "Why don't you take a rest?" someone asked him. "There's no point to it," Gehrig answered. "I like to play baseball. And if I were to sit on the bench, the worry and fretting would take too much out of me." On June 3rd, 1932, Lou Gehrig did something even Babe Ruth had never done. He hit 4 home runs in a single game. But that extraordinary feat got him few headlines the next day. Something even more important to baseball had happened. John McGraw was leaving the game. He died 2 years later, mourned by many as the greatest of all baseball managers, the winner of 10 pennants. Not long after his death, his wife found among his effects a list of all the black players he had secretly wished he could hire over the decades. The most celebrated of all black baseball stars was a tall, gangly pitcher of indeterminate age, Leroy Satchel Paige. Born and raised in Mobile, Alabama, he honed his skills in reform school and began his career playing for the Mobile Tigers at $1 a game if attendance was up, and a keg of lemonade if it wasn't. A natural showman, he drew black baseball's biggest crowds for 22 years. He may have been the greatest pitcher of all time. On the mound, one rueful batter remembered, Satchel Paige threw fire. He had a whole arsenal of distinctive pitches. His b-ball, jump ball, trouble ball, long tom, his hesitation pitch. He kicked his leg impossibly high before pitching. Then he'd throw around that foot. Half the guys, one victim remembered, were hitting at that foot coming up. They rarely hit the ball at all. When playing hometown teams, Paige liked to guarantee to strike out the first 9 men up. Then he would call in the outfield and make good on his promise. Because black baseball was played in so many places, and because few black teams had the money to pay someone to keep score, no one knows precisely how many games he won. Paige himself estimated that he pitched in 2,500 games and won 2,000 of them, 4 times the major league record. Josh Gibson was black baseball's greatest home run hitter, and after Satchel Paige, its biggest crowd pleaser. A sharecropper's son from Buena Vista, Georgia, he was brought north to Pittsburgh when his father moved there to work in the steel mills. His first love was swimming, and he planned to be an electrician until he discovered there was better money to be made in baseball. He broke in with the Homestead Grays in 1930 and quickly proved himself so good that Gus Greenlee stole him for the Crawfords. He hit more than 70 home runs in 1931 alone, some of them soaring better than 575 feet, and his lifetime record may have approached 950. Gibson was often called the Black Babe Ruth, but there were some who thought Ruth should have been called the White Josh Gibson. Josh Gibson and Satchel Paige were relentless competitors. As teammates on the Crawfords, they were a virtually unbeatable combination. But each believed he was the better ball player. "You're the greatest hitter and I'm the greatest pitcher," Paige told Gibson when he left the Crawfords. "Someday we're going to meet up and we're going to see who's best." The most famous member of the Cardinals was a cocky right-handed pitcher from Arkansas, Jerome Hanna Dean. A farm boy who had dropped out of school in the 2nd grade. "I didn't do so well in the 1st grade either," Dean said. He was an 18-year-old itinerant cotton picker when Ricky's scouts discovered him playing sandlot ball. Right from the start, Dean was convinced of his own greatness. "I'll put more people in the park than Babe Ruth," he told Branch Rickey even before he was hired. "Anybody who's had the pleasure of seeing me play knows that I am the greatest pitcher in the world." He was very nearly as good as he said he was. He averaged 24 wins a year for 5 seasons. "Son," he liked to ask a batter to whom he hadn't pitched before, "what kind of pitch would you like to miss?" Joe DiMaggio. At 17, he had broken in with the San Francisco Seals at shortstop and was moved to center field after committing 11 wild throws in a single exhibition game. But he hit safely in 61 straight games in his first year in the minors and batted .398 in his 3rd. The press was ready when he joined the majors, and he did not disappoint, hitting 29 homers and knocking in 125 runs in his rookie season. DiMaggio was the perfect complement to Lou Gehrig. He would help lead the Yankees to 4 consecutive world championships, an accomplishment Babe Ruth and Murderers Row had never even approached. Now, freed from Ruth's shadow, Gehrig was spectacular. In 1936, he hit 49 home runs, drove in 152 runs, and was named the league's most valuable player. He also kept alive his extraordinary record of consecutive games played. The Yankees looked unbeatable. On May 1st, 1939, something that had not happened for 14 years happened to the Yankees. Lou Gehrig took himself out of the lineup. He had played in a record 2,130 consecutive games and earned himself the nickname the Iron Horse. But now, something was terribly wrong. He was only 35, but had begun to play like an old man, dropping balls, missing again and again at bat, sliding his feet along rather than lifting them. During batting practice one afternoon, Joe DiMaggio watched in astonishment as the Yankees' hitting star missed 10 fat pitches in a row. Gehrig could not understand what was wrong. Neither could his teammates. But he could not stand the thought of letting them down. He was benching himself, he said, for the good of the team. The news of Gehrig's illness stunned the country. And on July 4th, a huge, sad crowd packed Yankee Stadium to pay tribute to their beloved hero. Babe Ruth came back, and the 2 old teammates ended their long feud. Manager Joe McCarthy presented him with a trophy. At first, Gehrig was too moved to speak.
For the past 2 weeks, you've been reading about a bad brag. Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. That I might have been given a bad break, but I've got an awful lot to live for. Thank you.
Back in the spring of 1939, a tall, thin, high-strung right fielder had broken in with the Boston Red Sox. His name was Theodore Samuel Williams. He insisted that the press call him the Kid. He went on to bat .327 for the year, hit 31 home runs, and knock in 145 runs. The greatest rookie batting performance in baseball history. He was born in San Diego, California, the son of parents so neglectful that he would later refuse to visit them. And he began attracting professional scouts while still in high school. At 17, he started playing for the San Diego Padres of the Pacific Coast League. Did poorly his first season, spectacularly his second, still better in his third. The Red Sox signed him at 19. He thought, talked, breathed hitting. Squeezed a rubber ball ceaselessly to strengthen his grip. Refused to drink anything stronger than a milkshake for fear of dulling his skills. Made a scientific study of bats and discovered that it was speed, not weight, that made the difference. Yankee center fielder Joe DiMaggio was something new in baseball, a superstar who was also of Italian descent, an immigrant fisherman's son from San Francisco. Writers and teammates weren't sure what to make of him. He was so protective of his privacy, a friend said, that he led the league in room service. Like Lou Gehrig, he was the mirror opposite of Babe Ruth, but he shared Ruth's determination to excel. A teammate once asked him late in his career, when he was often in pain, why he played so hard. Because, he said, there might be somebody out there who's never seen me play before. He hit safely in 10 games in a row, then in 20. By June 10th, he had hit in 25 straight games, tying Babe Ruth's old Yankee record. On June 12th, he broke it with a double off Bob Feller. Three seemingly insurmountable records loomed ahead of him. Rogers Hornsby's modern National League record of 33 consecutive games, George Sisler's American League record of 41 games, and Wee Willie Keeler's all-time Major League record of 44, set back in 1897. On June 21st, he reached 34, outdistancing Hornsby. Pitchers refused to walk him. It wouldn't have been fair, one said, to him or to me. He is the greatest player I ever saw. DiMaggio even looks good striking out, Red Sox slugger Ted Williams said. He didn't do that very often. During the entire 1941 season, DiMaggio struck out just 13 times. On June 26th, it almost came to an end. He went hitless in his first 3 times at bat. With 2 outs in the 8th, DiMaggio finally smashed a double to left, extending his streak to 38. George Sisler's record was next.
DiMaggio comes through. A screaming 2-bagger equals George Sisler's mark for hitting in 41 straight games. Now here's the hit that makes it 42 games in a row for Jolting Joe.
At Yankee Stadium on July 2nd, he hit a 3-run homer that soared over the head of Red Sox left fielder Ted Williams to move past Keeler. Now, every game added to the record. The streak had ended at 56 games. No one has ever come anywhere near that record since. In late July 1941, with DiMaggio's streak over, the spotlight shifted to the cocky young outfielder for the Boston Red Sox. Williams' obsession with hitting was admired, but he was not loved the way the exuberant Ruth had been, the way the shy DiMaggio was. He feuded with the press, lined baseballs at fans who jeered him, and once was fined $5,000 for spitting at them. After hearing boos from the crowd in his rookie year, he vowed never again to tip his cap after hitting a home run, no matter how loud the cheers. Ted Williams owed them nothing but hits. Although he had broken his ankle in spring training, he had a 23-game hitting streak of his own that year, and he was batting 70 points higher than DiMaggio, well over 400, something no other ball player had done since 1930. For the next 2 months, Williams dominated the league.
The plate, will you swing and fall? If you play, you gotta know.
Toward the end of the season, Williams' average began to drop. "If I couldn't hit 400 all the way," he said later, "I didn't deserve it." Ted Williams had raised his batting average to 406. No one has hit 400 since. The 1941 World Series with the Yankees was something Dodger fans would talk about for years. On the eve of the first game, MacPhail fired DeRocher again, then rehired him the next morning. The Dodgers lost 3-2. But it was the fourth game that would forever haunt Dodger fans. With Brooklyn ahead in the 9th, and their relief pitcher Hugh Casey just 1 strike from tying the series at 2 games apiece, the Dodgers were tripped up by one of the oldest rules in baseball, devised by the New York Knickerbockers in the 1840s.
Get this picture, please. Of Ebbets Field in the 9th inning. The Dodgers leading 4-3. Nobody on base. 2 Yankees already out. 2 strikes on Tommy Henrich. Big Casey feeling for the proper grip on the curveball he prayed would be the best pitch he ever threw in his life. Casey watching Henrich swing and miss. But catcher Mickey Owen muffed the ball. Henrich, a strikeout victim, reached base. The Yankees, capitalizing on a break, rushed 4 runs across the plate. The strikeout that didn't retire the batter paved the way for Casey's defeat. No pitcher ever had victory snatched from him in a manner quite as brutal. Shirley Povich, Washington Post.
The Dodgers never recovered.
5th inning. Yankee Tommy Henrich swings, and the ball's over
The Yankees took the series in 5 games. It was Game 4, bottom of the 9th. The Yankee pitcher was 1 out away from throwing a no-hitter.
2 men out, last of the 9th. The pitch swung on. There's a drive hit out toward the right field corner. Henrich is going back. He can't get it. It's off the wall for a base hit. Here comes the tying run, and here comes the winning run. Joe leans in. walked it. Here's the pitch. Swung on, belted. It's a long one. Deep into left center. Back for Jean Friedel. Back. He makes a one-handed catch against the bullpen. Oh, doctor. He went exactly against the railing in front of the bullpen and reached up with one hand and took a home run away from DiMaggio.
At the runner, throws to Bruce Edwards, who swings. It's a ground ball to Rizzuto. Over to Sternweiss for one out. The relay to first. It's a double play. The Yanks win, and Joe Page.
In the seventh game, the Yankees beat the Dodgers 5-2.